Hello, friends. This is Scott, and I took a quick drive down to the hobby farm to check on things. And lo and behold, what is this stuff here? I've not seen any brown ground or dirt for months. There's been 4 feet of snow sitting here on the ground, and now all I see is gopher tunnels. So if you see those mounds, that's what the gophers do underneath 4 feet of snow. That's what it looks like. So looks like I got a lot of gopher activity, and I'm gonna have to take care of those critters here really quick. But this is the start of my it's the end of my first year of owning the place. I think I bought it in, around late May, early June of last year. So I've not had a spring at the hobby farm yet. So this is all kind of new for me. And things are starting to grow. We've got the hen and chicks that are all around the edge there that are doing good. That area there, I'm going to put in a little kitchen garden, I think, with some raised beds, planter beds. There's the pine tree or the spruce tree or whatever it is that I moved last year, and it looks like it survived the move. And as we're walking up to the house, you see lots of bare dirt, you see some weeds coming up, and then you see some bulbs. And I had tried to collect the bulbs and plant them in spots that made sense, but I didn't get all the bulbs, it's obvious. They were up against the house a little too close. So I've got a little bit more bulb activity to move around to make them look a little bit better. But we have some growth. And these are all the beds that I put together around the foundation of the house last summer and fall. And this is my plan, is I want to make this a very user-friendly garden, and I want to grow lots of food down here, and also flowers and other things. But this is a good day, though, since I can start seeing some ground to talk, take a little survey and start going over the projects that I plan on doing this year as I walk through some snow here. This is still how deep it is, and this is on the north side, and it's still probably 1.5 feet deep in certain places. So there was a lot of snow down here. I mean, this was a record year in Utah. I apologize for my shadow. This is kind of a morning video, and the sun's low, and so I'm going to be my shadow's going to be in a lot of the video. But checking on the status of 2 of my apple trees that I planted last year, and the color looks good, and they're very flexible, so I think they survived. And I have 4 more bare root trees in my garage in Salt Lake that I need to bring down and plant here. And I've been waiting just because I didn't want to dig through feet of snow to plant trees. But I think the snow is going to be gone here. I was wondering how long it was going to take, but I think by next week, I think most of the snow will be history as the weather is getting warmer. It's getting in the 60s down here, maybe even 70 at times. But you see all that gopher activity, and that's the city land on the left. And so I've got lots of gophers to take care of. So, yeah, that'll be a priority. But it's really nice to see the property. At least it's cut down. It didn't have all the weeds. Last year, if you go back through my playlists of when I first got the hobby farm, you can see the condition. And I've put a playlist together of all the videos, inside and outside, 2 different playlists. And to see the progress that I made in reclaiming this property that had been neglected for many, many years. But as you see, there's that tree stump there that I need to cut that out. I think I'll put a bird bath on that, but I don't want it that tall. So I think I'm just going to get my chainsaw and cut that into pieces and make it flat, and then at least put a bird bath or some kind of bird-related feature. Now here's where a lot of the snow is piled by the neighbors, and it's still quite a bit, but it's melting fast. And this is my side yard. This is on the south side of the yard, the southwest side of the yard. And those are the beds that I made, that I planted fruit bushes in there. And those are hugelkultur beds. And so we'll see how these survive the winter. They haven't started to come out of dormancy yet. They were buried in snow as of last week, so they're just barely becoming uncovered from the snow. And then looking down on the south side of my yard, you see that beautiful greenhouse there that's in disrepair. That'll be one of the first things I do this spring is to rip that out, and still have some garbage and some old property items that are still left here from the previous owners that I got to get rid of. Got some old bike frames, and that'll all hit my next dumpster that I get. I think I had 3 or 4 dumpsters last year, and I'm going to need a couple more. I need to get in the garage also and clean the garage really, really badly, but just waiting for the weather to change. And I'm still inside, and I'm just up to trim, doing the molding and the trim work in the house. So I'm kind of caught between 2 worlds again. The weather's improving, so I want to be outside, but also I need to get the inside, functional so that we can enjoy the house this year. So I'll be in and out, and I'll be spending days doing both inside and outside projects probably. But you see there's still quite a bit of junk in here. And he ripped the siding off the previous owner, so I've got to, get the siding replaced, and that'll be an additional expense. I'm not sure how much for not a huge amount of area, but it's a vinyl siding. It's really a cheap siding, so I don't know if I can even match it at this point, but we'll see. So going into the backyard, and this is going to be my main food production area. I'm going to put a lot of beds in here, and as you see right in front there, that raised area, that's where I planted the garlic last fall, and it overwintered. And again, it was buried for literally 3 or 4 feet of snow, and it just barely got unburied this week. And if you look really closely, I'm going to show you a close up that the garlic did sprout, and it survived underneath all that snow. Looks a little worse for wear. The tips are a little burned, and it's not the best looking garlic, but I think it'll pop out of it, and it'll as it grows, it'll all look better. So that's half of a bed, and I still have the other side of the bed that I can plant. I think I'm going to put onions in there, but that's my biggest challenge in planting a spring garden down here is I'm not ready for it because I need to create more beds, and a big mound of dirt there on the other side that's the dirt I'm screening, and I'm using some of that soil along with compost and that I'm bringing from Salt Lake, and grass clippings and horse manure that I'm bringing down, and it's all starting from that pile of dirt, and that pile of dirt there is full of rocks, and so the rocks are also useful. So as I screen the rocks, I'm using them and putting them in my back driveway. So hopefully it's a mud mess right now, but it's a pretty firm mud mess because there's quite a bit of rock in it also. So. And then once I have that done, I'll get some gravel, and then I'll make it a lot nicer and smoother. But those tires I have a plan for. I'm not going to tell you what those are going to be for yet. But that is my trailer. It is actually starting to become unburied a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. So I think I'm within a few days of being able to access. I could access it now if I wanted to, but I think I don't have a need for it at the moment. I was able to bring some molding down, and when I need to get some more molding, I'll grab the trailer because they're long pieces, and it makes it a lot easier to bring down on a trailer. There's the compost bin I brought from my school garden last year that's empty. I got to start working on that. And here's a better view of that big pile of dirt. That's going to be a sunken patio, so all that dirt's going to disappear this year, I hope. Still have some old sticks and stuff to burn, and so that's all the burning I have left up to this point. And there's the burn barrel, that rusty container there. And then in the blue barrel, I'm going to show you right here, is some biochar that I made last year. So I'll be using this up. I'll be crushing it up, and I'll be putting it in throughout my compost and in my chicken yard and wherever else I decide when I decide to get going on that project. But this winter, was so tough, it really made me reevaluate animals. I've got to really be prepared because I can't take care of animals with as much snow as we're getting down here unless I have some kind of a way to remove the snow all through my property, not just the driveway and the street. So I've got to reevaluate before I'm ready to add animals. So here's a view from the deck, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a bird's eye view. There's the 2 apple trees. And again, there'll be 4 more trees in that area. I'm going to space them out and make my little orchard on that side of the house. I'm going to have, again, those more horticulture along the fence line. I'll have sunflowers and miscellaneous other plants. I'm not sure exactly yet. I'm going to build a retaining wall on the other side there, the sidewalk that you see there, with a step up so you can access that area. So that'll be a project for the trailer. I'll be bringing a lot of block, and I'll be creating that wall there. And then this will be a sunken patio right there where that big pile of dirt is, and that should disappear this year. I hope I can get to all that. And as you can see with the rock, I'm putting some gravel and some other rocks in the driveway. It's definitely looking much better than it did last year. It was just weeds. If you go back through my old videos, it's kind of fun. I've been watching all the playlist in order because I can really appreciate how much work I really got done last year. But there's so much more to do. But let's take a look at the back pasture. And as you see here, the grass is really brown. And again, it's early. It's all been covered in snow, but you see the impact that animals can have on your property, where there's been no animals running on this property, or very other than deer, occasional deer and cats. So there's not much fertility in the pasture. So I did mow it down really close, and I did fertilize it some with an all-purpose fertilizer. But you need to have animals to impact this, and by feeding hay and stuff, it'll add more seed to the mix, and the pee and the poop will add so much fertility, and it's amazing. If you look at the neighbor's yard there, as you see that beautiful house behind us, you'll see the pasture is so much more green. That's because they run animals on it. Now all these little holes here, as you see, that's what they're from. The deer have been in here the last few weeks. They didn't come in here when the snow was deep, but when it melted, you can see all those holes. You would think of gophers, but that's just deer prints where the ground's been so soft that they sunk in about 6 inches when they walked around. But here's a sunset maple. and take a look at it to see if it survived. And it looks good. I think it's flexible. It appears to be still alive, so I think we're going to be okay on that shade tree. It gets so hot down here in the summers that to even have animals, I need to have shade. Oh, there's Thing. That's Miss Thing. And, we've really created a special bond during the winter. Oh, and you see Theo jump down. You see the white cat in the background. He's coming to see what I'm up to. And there's a couple other cats. There's Coquette, and then there's an orange one that's around too. So, as well as some other strays that frequent the area. So, but these are the cats that were so skittish that I could hardly see them in the past, and now they're following me around and we're buds. So it's going to be nice to have them around, and all my projects I do, I'm sure the cats will be following me around and being my companions down here. But they're good cats, and I didn't plan on having 3 or 4 cats, but they'll keep the rodents down. I've yet to see a mouse down here. Again, we have tons of northern pocket gophers, and the neighbors complain about having mice occasionally, but I've not seen a mouse. And I've moved a lot of material, a lot of brush, a lot of garbage out of this property, and I've never uncovered a rodent. So I think those cats are doing a good job with that. And they do catch a gopher now and then, I believe. At least they rob my traps of the gophers when I do catch them. So here's a look of the very corner. See, that's my big gate to access the property, and I need to firm that gate up a little bit, and I think I'll add another post, and I'll hang it better so it's not just right now it's just kind of wired. It's not a swinging gate. So I'll either use that same gate or I'll replace it. And as I'm walking down, there's the shade tree. Again, it gets so hot down here, you got to have shade. So the neighbor's tree does give us a little bit of shade on this side of the pasture. But you see the green grass on the left, and that's the neighbors and who've had cows on their property. And hey, look, what do we have here? Another gopher. So I've got my work cut out for me. I've got a friend that lives in an adjacent town to here. It's about 30 miles away that he does that part-time as employment. The farmers hire him to kill gophers, so I'm going to get him over here and help me out too, I think. Because I got a few last year, but I wasn't as successful as I need to be, and I just need to get them taken care of so that we don't have that problem because they just keep on coming. But you see the green grass on the other side of the fence, the cows, where the beefy boys were living. The impact of animals is really evident. Now, they get irrigation water on that side of the fence, but he oversprays into my side. So this corner here gets totally soaked all year long when they're irrigating. And you can see still how brown it is. So there's just no fertility. You got to have animals. You got to have the impact that animals and can make on a property for it to be a healthy pasture. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to do, whether I do chicken tractors, whether I have sheep, whether I'm getting organized and building infrastructure, whether I have the neighbor run some sheep on here of his own. I don't know yet. We'll see. But there's still a lot of snow down here on the east side of the pasture, and where all that snow is probably where I'm going to put my chicken coop and my chicken run. Will be down in that section. Still trying to figure out whether I'm going to separate the pasture into paddocks because I want to rotate the animals around so that they don't destroy an area or make it, wear it out too much. So can't have a lot of animals, but I can have a few. As you see the fence there, I've still got about 25 feet of fencing to put in, which won't take me, it'll take me an hour or two. So that's the amount of fencing I need to finish. And as you can see, don't need to open the gate. I can still walk through the fence. And Theo is waiting for me, and he's meowing, and he wants a little attention, but he's a little skittish still because he's seen me in the garage all winter, but he doesn't see me outside since last fall. You see, I have put a little bit of gravel that I took out from by the house, but right here is an area that I want to put a pond. Now, out in the country, you put water feature in, and you're going to attract a lot of creatures, and you're going to attract some creatures you probably don't want. This area has skunks and badgers and obviously deer and miscellaneous other critters. And when you're trying to plant a food garden, you wonder how much you want to attract other animals here. As I know, when you have animals, you don't want to attract a bunch of predators. So I don't know, but I think I want to put a pond in here. And then along this fence line, I'm going to put more flowers and things like that. But somewhere in here, I'm gonna do a pond on this side, I think. Now, I need to do something about this deck. It's very poorly constructed, and there's no way to step down from it other than just kind of climb up and in. There's Mr. Theo. He wanted a little attention now. And then you'll see Miss Thing in the background. Yeah, she's up here on the deck too. So these two cats get along pretty well when they're in the garage, but they fight a little bit. So they're a little standoffish with each other when they're outside, but they're always together when they're in the house. So as you see, there's a blueprint for lots of opportunity to do some fun stuff. And I'm hoping that I can get a lot done this year. And again, I've got a lot inside still left to do to make it livable, but I'm getting close there. And then I want to get out here and I want to take care of business and keep making this place better. So, well, thanks for watching this video, and hope you continue to follow me on my journey and living my best rural life in the city, at the school garden, and now here in a small town at the hobby farm. And I'll be up to all kinds of stuff this year, so stay tuned. Thank you.